Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 5.0, and today is day 18. We've been focusing on smart plans, and yesterday we started creating a custom smart plan. Today I want to walk you through a little bit more on creating custom smart plans and some of the limitations. So let's dive into smart plans using the diploma icon here, the fourth one down. And this is the smart plan that we started yesterday. So just a heads up, if you start a smart plan, prior to adding any contacts to it, you can always come over and make edits to that smart plan by clicking on the pencil icon. So let's dive into that smart plan that we had yesterday by clicking on the pencil icon. And I wanted to show you, don't mind these, I'm going to take these out real quick because we were doing some testing earlier. Yesterday we went over the actions, and these are the different actions that you can add into the smart plan. Today we're going to talk about the tips and rules section down here at the bottom. So let's go through these. With regards to tasks, you cannot add more than 7 tasks a day per smart plan. Delays must be added between to include more. So if this was a smart plan for maybe taking a new listing or something along those lines, right? It's an internal facing smart plan. Just a heads up that you can't have more than 7 tasks per day. So you may want to use your opportunity checklist, which we'll get to in a future video, to kind of make those tasks a little easier to assign, but max 7 tasks per day. With regards to text messages, you cannot send out more than 1 per day. So you can see it requires at least a 1-day delay between scheduled text messages. Just wanted to show you kind of what happens if you start to break any of these rules. So let's say that we added 2 text messages without a break in between, right? There's no delay. And so we're just going to put test and then test 2 on our text messages, and we're going to go to save this smart plan. You'll see that you get a pop-up with an error. And it's going to ask you to reconfigure your smart plan based upon the following rules. Smart plans can only have 1 SMS per day. Please add a delay in between the steps. So that's what it does look like if you start to break some of these rules down below. Similarly to texts, you cannot send more than 1 email per day. So you must have a 1-day delay minimum between your emails. Setting the delay between your steps, the minimum length of a delay is 1 day. So you can't have like a 6-hour delay at this point. It's 1 day minimum delay in between those steps. It does require at least 1 action between delays, so it can't have a 10-day delay and then a 10-day delay. I should just make that a 20-day delay, right? So you have to have an action between the delays. And then the smart plan in total duration cannot exceed 90 days. Now this is an important one, right? The max length of 1 smart plan is at this point 90 days. Now that doesn't mean that you cannot add smart plans together. Remember, we talked about the add to smart plan button here. So if I have a short-term nurture, maybe a mid-term nurture, and a long-term nurture, the short-term nurture is 90 days but reaches out to them every 2 to 3 days. And then the mid-term nurture is 90 days but reaches out to them once a week. And then maybe I have a long-term nurture that reaches out to them once a month. And then remember that long-term nurture can be restarted as well. So my third smart plan could be one that goes on forever and ever based upon the restart smart plan indefinitely. So there are some ways to kind of, if you will, daisy chain your smart plans together to have a smart plan series that lasts longer than 90 days. But one smart plan in and of itself cannot last more than 90 days. With regards to adding people to smart plan, you can't add more than once a day. So allowed once per day. You've got to have a delay, so you can't add them to 1 smart plan and then add another step to add them to another smart plan and then add another step to add them to a 3rd smart plan. You've got to have a delay between the adding of smart plans. You also cannot add more than 1 version of a canned smart plan. So for example, you can't add them to the birthday smart plan twice. Due in, that's on tasks. Remember when we added a task step, it asked when do we want that task due. The due in cannot exceed 14 days. Restart flow, we just talked about that, the ability to create a smart plan and then have it repeat essentially. The smart plan has to be at least 14 days or longer in length. So you can't just text your buyer's agent, make your calls today, and then restart it so that they get a text every single day, right? You would have to create a smart plan that was 14 days or longer. It doesn't mean that you couldn't send a text, put a day delay, send a text, put a day delay, etc. But the total plan has to be at least 14 days or longer in order to be repeatable. Also, the restart flow, pretty self-explanatory, I would think, but that actual action cannot be added anywhere but the last action in the flow. Finally, per smart plan, touches cannot exceed. So you can't have more than 7 touches within 7 days. You cannot have more than 12 touches within 30 days. And you cannot have more than 15 total touches in one smart plan. Right? So remember that you can add smart plans together, but one smart plan itself cannot have more than 15 touches. One thing to take note of, when you add a task to a smart plan, by default, that task is a touch task. Now, if this is something that you're doing that is not a touch task, like order the sign delivery, right? That's not something where you're actually reaching out to a particular client. You can change that to a non-touch task, and that will not count against your 7, 12, or 15-day max. So just a heads up, I do have some people that have created smart plans with a series of tasks. They go to save it and they can't save it because all of their tasks are defaulted to touch. So one thing to kind of keep an eye on there. So that's it for essentially the tips and rules. When we come back next week, we'll talk about some final touches on custom smart plans and then how to add, view, and remove people from smart plans as well. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. As always, I look forward to talking to you again real soon.